Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace, God. Blessed peace is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy, God. Deepest joy is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are saved.
Good morning, beautiful people. Look at these faces. Good morning. That was Sacred Love by Daniel Nahmod. He's one of my favorite artists. So welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. We do this in person. That's always my favorite. And online. So anybody that's joining us online, thank you for being here today or anytime in the future. Wouldn't it be funny if somebody 20, 30 years from now sees this broadcast? I wonder what that would be like, right? I probably wouldn't be here anymore. I'm okay with that. Wouldn't that be interesting? So we are still diving deeper into the theme of the year, Living Out Loud, and September, Love Out Loud. And so today my topic is being the presence of love. So I'm kind of excited because next week we have Elaine Silver here, and she's going to do the Sunday celebration. I'll be here, but Elaine is just so much fun and so inspiring. And she's doing a little Beatology workshop afterwards. Yeah, that's a thing. She's a Beatologist. But I will be here for that. And then the week after I'll be here, but the month of October, most of the month of October, I'm on sabbatical. Every 5 years, I get an extra month off as a sabbatical. So there's some fun planning going on with our fabulous practitioners like Lori Janice. They're going to facilitate the celebration. It's going to be live music. Today we were going to have Rhonda, but Rhonda texted me this morning and she's not feeling well. So I think self-care always comes first, right? So we send her healing vibes today. And we have John Herron. John is a licensed practitioner with Center for Spiritual Living Princeton. And we were talking this morning about having him do a workshop sometime in December. So that's cooking as well. We have our practitioners do a treatment express at the end of celebration. So he'll be over there in the corner sitting there meditating. And if you go up to him and grab a chair, he is happy to do a quickie with you, quickie treatment with you. Oh. All right. Okay. I don't know what's going on with me, but. So the topic today being the presence of love. I love that kind of topic because I think that says it all. That's really what we're here to be the presence of love. And then to remember that, because you're going to forget. You're going to forget when you watch the news. You're going to forget when you hear bad news. You're going to forget when you have a challenge or a loss or an issue or a lack, right? And then we do whatever it is that we need to remember, because the only reason we do spiritual practices is to arrive at that place of remembering that we are the presence of love. Once we remember it, we don't need to do any more spiritual practices. And so the idea then is how am I forgetting that I am love already? How am I resisting this love that is already within and all around me? And that's just an interesting exploration called life. And then the idea then is that we really are here to be in service to love. Some say in service to God, in service to love, in service to life, in service to joy. And that's kind of what I'm going to weave together today. And John is going to bless us with a little poem and share a little bit about that poem. So we're going to have a good time this morning. Let's start with our Namaste practice, which is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So put your hands together and just bow to someone and say Namaste. And let's treat our word for affirmative prayer. The moment I close my eyes, I bring my attention to my heart of hearts, and here I remember that love is all there is. And remember with me that when I say I, my, me, I'm speaking from and to the higher self within each and every one of us, the place where we are all connected, where we are the purity of love living in the world. And so today I know that we are arriving at a deeper understanding. First of all, that we are the presence of love. And second, that we can use that awareness to heal, because we don't need to just survive. And that we can be instruments of that love in each of us in a very unique way. And so I know that the call that is ever within my heart is the call to be the instrument of love, to be the presence of love, and to be in service to love. That remembrance fills my heart with awe and gratitude, with a sense of blessedness to be alive, to be incarnated here and now, and to trust that I have whatever I need. And so it is. And so now we're going to have John. We're moving things around a little bit, which I love. I love change. So John, bless us with your wisdom.
No, you have to bless me with your wisdom. So good morning. I'm John Herron. I'm a practitioner from CSL Princeton, and I get the great blessing to come up here once a month or so, and I love it. So, one thing, as I was mentioning to Reverend Frankie, Susan, who you know, another practitioner from Princeton, we come up here. We always talk about, because we're prayer partners, how much of a sense of welcome there is when we walk into this place. There is energy, living energy here. And it's, why else do we come here but to experience that, right? What Dr. Frankie was saying before, the world keeps trying to call us to this tragedy that's happening over there, or this tragedy that's happening in our lives, right? And one of the basic things in our teaching is what we focus on expands, right? And all the news channels are trying to get us to focus on those awful things, because the world's a difficult place, you know, we know that. And media has gotten such that it wants us to know how difficult it is. It wants us to engage with it constantly. But we come here to engage with love. Or at least that's why I come here, right? What we focus on expands. So let's start off with a bit of a meditation. Let's just start right off with it. So this is from the World Healing Meditation that I know every year, December 31st, your center does it, our center does it. Around the world, large numbers of people at the same time. We do it 7 a.m. because whatever time it is, Greenwich Mean Time or whatever they call it now, it's done around the world, right? So I sort of made that meditation my personal practice last year. I memorized it. It's long, but after 6 months or so, I started getting it, and I repeat it to myself. And there are really deep, wonderful thoughts in there. And it's by John Randolph Price, who was a Unity minister. So it's pretty wonderful. So this is the time when whatever you carried in here with you of the world outside, this is the time when you can let go of it. So let's just take a moment before we start the meditation. And you might take a nice deep breath. And just think, what did you carry in here with you today? Maybe take it in your hands and look at it and say, yeah, you're my brother, you're my sister, but right now, I need you to stay outside, because I came here for love. And really think about, yeah, here it is. I'm setting you aside right now. Set aside all of those things that the world keeps pulling us back to, because the inner pull is a pull from love. Take another deep breath. Just let whatever concerns, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, let them melt off of you. So I'm going to read, this is 3 sections from this World Healing Meditation by John Randolph Price. I'm going to read each line of it twice. Each time the second repetition comes, think, is there a deeper place within myself from which I can respond to this truth? And don't just think it. It's not a matter of what's coming from your mind. It's not even, for me, a matter of what's coming from my heart. It's coming from a deeper place inside, and this is our opportunity to go to that deeper place. I now open my heart. I now open my heart and let the pure essence of unconditional love pour out. I now open my heart and let the pure essence of unconditional love pour out. I see it as a golden light. I see it as a golden light radiating from the center of my being I see it as a golden light radiating from the center of my being, and I feel its divine vibration in and through me, above and below me. A nice deep breath. Is there a deeper, truer place from which you can respond to these words? I am one with the light. I am one with the light. I am filled with the light. I am filled with the light. I am illumined by the light. I am illumined by the light. I am the light of the world. With purpose of mind, I send forth the light. With purpose of mind, I send forth the light. I let the radiance go before me to join the other lights. I let the radiance go before me to join the other lights. I know this is happening all over the world at this moment. I see the merging lights. There is now one light. One light. There is now one light. We are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So take a nice deep breath. Just let yourself be in this place. And see whatever image comes up in your mind as to how this consciousness, how you can take this consciousness into your life, into the world, and know that you are the change, the growth, the love that you wish for in the world. And when you're ready, let your consciousness come back into the room. Let yourself be fully present and know that we are the love. We are the love.
my shelter, now and always, before and after.
That is Ricky Byers, and it's called The Love Song. So my hope is that you just sat here and just felt the vibration of love coming from her music and her words and her energy. You just got filled up on it, filled up on it, filled up on it, right? Until it spills over. And if that didn't happen, that's great information, because it can tell us so much, right? So I love this quote by Einstein, and I'm going to read it twice because it's written with the male gender grammar, and I'm going to read it in the female so that we can hear it twice. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separate from the rest. A kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is kind of a prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such achievement is in itself a part of the liberation and foundation for inner security. Let me read it again. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. She experiences herself, her thoughts and feeling, as something separate from the rest. A kind of optical delusion of her consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such achievement is in itself a part of the liberation and foundation for inner security. Powerful words, because it's talking about how we won't all achieve that, but we can all strive for it. And so, isn't it then that if we think about the topic of love, that is the one thing that everybody wants. Everybody wants more love. Everybody wants to maybe be loved differently. It's often from that place of wanting. And that place of wanting will never satisfy us. Because wanting says to our consciousness, I don't have enough. It's not always consciously, right? Because we don't go around and saying, oh, you know what, I don't want more of this, or I don't want more of that, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. It's often at an unconscious level. That place of want and wish and desire just says that we hold a belief that we don't have, or we don't have enough, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because we know in our teaching that our consciousness, what we believe, what we think about consciously, unconsciously, and unconsciously creates our experience. So we want to really think about what the conflict then is inside of us. Yes, there is only the presence of love. Love is all there is. Love is who and what I am. But the conflict of what I believe about that is contrary to that, erases that love, not in truth, but in our belief system. And so I believe that you and I incarnated as the human being that we are today to remember that we are love. That love created us out of itself. That love is given. That love in us is infinite and unconditional and ever present. So we came here to remember that, to wake up to that, and to be in service to that. And that's what I'm really talking about today, because we say all the time, love is here, love is now, love is everywhere present, love is in everyone. But it's not our all the time experience, right? Maybe in traffic this morning you cursed somebody out. That was not an experience of love. Maybe you still hold the pain in your heart of the way you weren't loved unconditionally. Maybe you have a hard time loving yourself or forgiving yourself for some of the mistakes you've made. These are all examples of how our belief that is contrary to love is all there is shows up in our own personal experience. So we use those experiences to say, oh, how interesting, there you are. You're showing me that I don't believe love is all there is. You're showing me that I don't believe that love is inside of me, that I'm worthy of receiving love. That's all it is. But some of us were raised in traditions where we thought of it as a punishment or a sin, right? Whether that's conscious or not, for us, often that still operates because it's so deeply conditioned. And so we get to experience this unconditional, infinite love that is already within us. We allow it to flow to the nooks and crannies of our very being where it maybe hasn't been before, it hasn't seen the light of day. And so that's about fully receiving this unconditional, infinite, glorious, juicy love that is everywhere present, all the time and in everyone. It's our limiting belief that does this. Oh yeah, but not here, not this, not that. And so we're given this experience of life where we forget, we remember, we forget, and we remember, we do this beautiful dance. And we get to look at where and how we are experiencing the opposite of love. So how do some of you experience the opposite of love? Maybe when you are fearful or anxious, or what else?
Angry.
When you're angry,
Resentful.
when you're resentful,
Dealing with difficult people.
when you're dealing with
Difficult people.
difficult people,
Sad.
when you're sad,
When you have expectations of others.
when you have expectations of others. Yeah, there's a long list,
You
right?
have expectations of yourself.
When we have expectations of ourselves, yes. And so that is just to notice that when we experience these moments, to not stop there. Because the human tendency is to use those as a whip, whether we're aware of it or not, or a baseball bat. Pick your favorite. And so instead, what we can do is pause and say, oh, wait, I am called to higher ground right now. I am called to the fountain of love already within me. I am called to the very truth of my being that never forsakes me, that never abandons me. Because this way, I can expand my realm of compassion. I can expand my experience of life and receive that love so that we can then dish it out. As John so beautifully was saying, and that meditation was perfect, and I always love repeating something a couple of times because then it kind of sinks in and takes root, right? When you were doing that meditation, the first thing I was thinking about was how when I pay attention to the news, which I do a little bit, not a lot, and I look for news that is neutral. I don't go for that side or whatever we call it. I look for a neutral, right? So, and what I see is a world that appears to be going to hell in a handbasket. A world that appears to be at an end, that appears to be falling apart. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, the floods in Libya, the earthquakes in Morocco, the wars going on in Sudan and Kenya, the craziness that is happening in the world, the fires everywhere. There's just so much happening. And we can pay as much attention to that as we want, but I always say make sure you bring in balance. So if you watch the news 5 hours a day, make sure you do 10 hours of spiritual practice. Hint, hint. Right? And so make sure that you use the information that you then receive, not to go, oh, it's vague, but to go, oh, this is where I get to be the presence of love. And then listen for what that looks like. Because maybe you do a clothes drive. Maybe you make a large donation. Maybe you go volunteer somewhere locally. Maybe you keep the people and the land in your prayers longer than you have been, or more than you have been, or maybe start to. Right? And so what we're then called is to rise above that, not to go, oh, it doesn't exist, I'm ignoring it, but to have a bird's eye view. And to maybe keep rising. Like, imagine that you're going to the moon. When you take off, the landscape will look very different than when you're thousands of miles up in the air. You're probably going to have a mystical experience when you're up there, because you cannot see the tragedies that are taking place on this tiny little earth. Sandy just told me 8,000 miles in diameter, right? It's so small, and we get so focused on this earthly experience that we forget that there's something completely else taking place. What if what's happening on this planet is a shift in consciousness, and you decide to be a part of that in a loving, healing, healthy, blessed way instead of fearful, right? And so what we do is we notice how we feel. We don't deny that. I've been feeling a lot of grief myself for what we have single-handedly as humanity done to our planet. Because we are now in the 6th extinction, which is the first one that has been created by humankind. And here we are, we need another car, maybe a better one. We need another house. Oh, we need some more clothes, we need some more jewelry, we need more stuff. We need more vacations, right? And we forget that we get to be more conscious of how we consume and what we consume. Paying attention to what it is that we're trying to fill up on. I ask myself that question when I buy another book, while I have at least 20 of them at home that I haven't even read yet. Right? Those are good questions. Because in my belief system is like, well, maybe that book is the one. That's the one that's going to do it. Right? And so, but we want to pay attention to that. We want to work with that. We want that to expand our awareness and go, that is so interesting. I just made that book that I need to my Savior. Right? And so we notice that we always get to go to the source of love, the source of life, the source of wisdom, the source of truth, the source of joy that is already within us. And we get to receive it fully, and we get to partake of it, and then we get to serve from that place by listening for what is ours to do. So the invitation is always to notice how easily we forget, how quickly we forget, and what it is that we forget. Our struggles tell us what we forget. And that's the doorway to our remembrance. And I think it's really important to keep it simple, because I don't know about you, but I can kind of guess that the ego mind loves to make it difficult. Because it loves the drama. The more, the better. It loves to distract us from that place of truth because it's threatened by it. And so we don't say the ego is a bad thing. We don't say we need to get rid of it. But we need to remember that it is in service to us and not the other way around. I think that that the whole ego thing is when we're stuck in the ego nature, it's just showing us our addictions. And they could be anything. It doesn't have to be a substance. It could be a belief, it could be a thought. It can really show us what idea or a limiting belief we are most attached to. And so here we can actually clearly see how we feel separate from the presence of love already within us, how we disconnect, or how we other. I love that that's a new verb now. Maybe it's been around forever, but it's used a lot. It allows us to notice how we are othering when we say, well, they are, or he is, or she is, or that is, or this is the problem. And then we forget that we are all one, and that what we witness is really our own consciousness, that in that moment is the problem. So Ernest Holmes says in a journal this month, without love, nothing can be accomplished. Without love, nothing can be accomplished. With love, all things are possible. All things are possible. And as we love, our prayers are answered and the gift of heaven is made. I love that because if I feel that my prayers aren't answered, and if I don't feel that the gift of heaven is made, I get to more deeply know. I get to more deeply know, and I get to receive and surrender to the presence of love already within me. And with that, all things are possible. So once we remember that love is all there is, and once we are in service to that, and dedicate our spiritual practices to that, and listen to that, our prayers are answered, and the gifts of heaven are made. And sometimes they happen in little places, in little corners, sometimes in ways we don't even notice. And the invitation is then to more deeply notice. So we're in service to love. The only reason that the universal love, the universal mind, the universal presence allowed us to incarnate, the reason we are born is to be in service, to serve universal love, to serve universal wisdom, to serve God, whatever you call it, to be in service to the truth. That's the only reason. And if you and I are walking around and we're in service to the lies we tell ourselves, we will suffer. And that spills over into witnessing suffering on the planet. And so what does that mean for you and I? We can ask ourselves. That's why my question every morning is, beloved, how may I serve today? What is mine to do today? Sometimes it's moved through an inner block, but a lot of times it's the little ways I can be the presence of love in my environment with a little piece of earth that's around me, like saving a caterpillar from the birds. Or maybe it means cleaning the yard or the stoop. Maybe it means having less stuff and giving some of it away. Maybe it means to go volunteer or be kind to the gas station attendants. There are a million ways, right? Every day. And I know many of you are already practicing those because that's who you are, or you wouldn't be here. Our love is needed so much in the world. Our understanding of love is needed so much in the world. The beauty is that we already know that. Because when we wish there was more, and when we want more, it's not because there isn't enough. It's because we hold a belief that we aren't enough, or we don't have enough. And now fill in the blank, right? And so, what of our love is needed in the world to be in service to our planet, to each other, to life, to all its creatures, to all of nature. And so when I go back to that quote by Einstein, at the end he says, nobody's able to achieve this completely. So if we're hard on ourselves for not achieving it more completely, that's another way that we resist the truth about who and what we are. Nobody's able to achieve this completely, but striving for such achievement, maybe we can say being in service to such achievement, is in itself part of the liberation and the foundation of inner security. So that's why we do our spiritual practices, to be in that place of remembrance, to be in service to the truth. And as we do, what dissolves is whatever is in the way. We don't have to give our problems, our challenges, so much attention. They dissolve by themselves when we attend to the truth, when we attend to love. And so when we are in service and something pops up that is contrary to it, that's when we rise up. And a lot of that is silent, right? It's like, oh wait, let me be in that space before I speak. Let me be in that space before I act. Let me be in that space before I go onto Facebook. Let me be in that space before I turn on the TV or the radio. Let me be in that space before I act, so that I can remember that that love is a sacred gift. This month, we are not just awakening to love, well, not this month, every day, but because the theme is to love out loud, it is the invitation for us to love out loud more often, in bigger, bolder, more joy-filled ways, in ways that are healing to those around us, or that because the earth needs us as well. So that's what we bring our attention to, this idea that you and I are already being the presence of love. And when our mind goes to the place that it says, well, not now or not here, those are rich, beautiful, and powerful opportunities because they are awakening our remembrance. All right, that's all I have to say. So there's something else that I want to remind us of before we do our offertory, which is there is a retreat that happens every year in Bolger. It's in Maryland, and I went last year, and it's really fun because it's only 24 hours. So you get there on a Friday, it's all day Saturday, and you drive home, which is so fun. So I have the flyer over here. For those of you that are here, we will add it to our constant contact. It's October 27 and 28, and it's called Resting in Rapture. So all of us are invited to be a part of that. Bolger is a beautiful place. Have you been there? It's a beautiful place. The food is delicious. Beautiful grounds. It's actually kind of short, but it's so lovely to just have a 24-hour space with people of like minds. So you'll be enjoying that. And next week we have social hour, and it's a special social hour because Kathy Ronka and Mark Benfonte, who got married on September 3rd, they are doing the social hour in celebration of their wedding for us. So come and enjoy that. And if you are interested in volunteering for the Brookside Wellness Fair, we'd love to have you. I have 2 signs in the back. If you live in this area, take the sign and put it in front of your house, in front of your store, or in front of your, a little area in the neighborhood that you think would be a good spot there on both sides. So take some, there's some more in the hallways. I'd love for you to do that. Or take some flyers and post them at places in your area. You see there's a little sign that popped up. It's probably our Wi-Fi is off. Let me check. Software update, of course, during a celebration. The last thing I want to share with you is that on the 26th, which is a week from Tuesday, Steve Sarcisano is teaching his last yoga class. He teaches Kundalini Yoga online, which is fabulous because he's going to be a daddy, and his wife Sarah is going to be a mommy beginning of October, so he's taking a break. I want to share this with you. I want you to take this with you as a reminder. Post it in your car, post it on your mirror, stick it in your pocket, put it in your purse. Take an extra one if you need it. So we're going to pass that along. And now let's do our offering, which is, some of you give online, I give via text to give, some of you are not able to give. So if you're not able to give today, just bless the basket as it comes around. We're just grateful that you are here and you're part of this community. So let's repeat, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless.
It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
As I share my good,
As I share my good,
I accept my greater good.
I accept my greater good.
If you need an envelope, it's in there as well. So now we have John closing us out with a closing treatment. John, come on up.
I think this whole celebration has been a treatment. And so this word is for this glorious celebration and the presence of love. Knowing that love is present everywhere, at all times. It is what is, it is what the universe is, it is fully expressed in the universe, and it is fully expressed in each person who has participated in this service and who will participate in this service and who wish they could participate in this service. There is nothing other than love. And so what I know is love is running through the veins, through the thoughts, through every cell in the body of everyone who has participated and is participating and will participate in this service. And this love is now expressing, and everywhere everyone looks, they are now experiencing and seeing the presence of love and finding new ways of expressing that love in their everyday lives. And so love is more and more present, and each person is experiencing the blessing of the presence of that love in every area of their lives, in their homes, in their work, in their relationships. Love is what is now present, and each one is seeing that and opening up their hearts to a deeper and greater experience of love. And so knowing this truth, this glorious truth, I am so grateful for this presence of love, and knowing that it is more fully present every moment. And with that gratitude, I release it to the law. It is done, and so it is.
And so it is.